You want to retire by the Spanish coast, but you think it will cost you $1 million, right? Stop. Today I'm going to prove that this idea is completely wrong. I helped hundreds of expats, and the issue is always the same. You want the sea view, but you refuse to empty your pockets. I will show you that you can buy a coastal home in Spain for the price of a Ford pickup. Our team analyzed every single coastal area in Spain, and we found 12 seaside Spanish homes for sale. Every single one of them is under $99,000. What does the price of a F-150 actually buy you in Spain? In Galicia, it gets you 2 apartments in one building. In Tarragona, it buys a massive estate with 24,000 square meters of land. In Murcia, a modern 2-bedroom flat with a garage and sea views. Those are only the beginning. The absolute best property is just 4-minute walk from the Mediterranean, so keep watching because we start with property number 12 right now. 12. Tavernes de la Valldigna. Since I respect your time, I will put the negative point first. This property is on the 50th floor and the building does not have an elevator. That single factor acts as a filter for buyers, but it's also the only reason a property with such great qualities appear in this low price bracket. We are in Tavernes de la Valldigna, a seasonal resort town just south of Valencia. The asking price is €88,000, which is just under $97,000. For that sum, you acquire 2 double bedrooms, a kitchen, and a bathroom. However, the headline feature is the frontline view. With direct access from the building, you arrive at the sandy beach. No need to even cross the street. The beach is just right there. In most Spanish coastal markets, frontline positioning commands a 6-figure premium. Here, that premium is removed because the daily climb is a bit more demanding. You will carry every bag of groceries up 5 flights of stairs. This is not for mobility-impaired retirees. It fits individuals who are willing to trade modern convenience for panoramic scenery. The reward is seafront apartment, ready to move in with direct beach access. Tavernes de la Valldigna has a smaller expat community than the Costa Blanca, meaning you avoid the tourist crush found in nearby Culera or Gandia. You also gain access to a blue flag beach that stays relatively uncrowded. Strategically, the location works for frequent flyers. Valencia Airport is only 55 kilometers away, and you can drive from the terminal to your parking space, which is included, in 45 minutes. This property proves you can secure $1 million view for less than the cost of a new SUV, provided you have the needs to sustain it. The next property removes the problem with stairs entirely and has the absolute lowest entry price on our list. And talking about price and real information, if you enjoy our database and research-driven videos that we put a lot of work to do, I would be glad if you could click on the like and subscribe button. It would be such a great help for us. 11. Los Urrutias. €65,000. That's the price of a new German sedan. But in Los Urrutias, Murcia, that same amount buys a complete 3-bedroom apartment with a terrace. This makes it the cheapest property on our entire list. Prices that low for coastal properties are very rare in Western Europe. The only place I saw similar prices is Italy. The value proposition is aggressive. You get a 3-bedroom, a rare find at this price point, and frontline proximity to the water. However, you must understand why the market prices is this low. The catch involves the local environment. Los Urrutias is located on the edge of the Mar Menor, Europe's largest saltwater lagoon. This quiet village appeals to budget-conscious individuals and British retirees seeking tranquility and a low cost of living. But the lagoon faces well-documented environmental challenges. The water quality fluctuates, and this creates a stigma that suppresses property values. It acts as a high-risk, high-reward investment. You get the promenade and ocean access, but you must accept the uncertainty of the lagoon's regeneration efforts. Regional infrastructure is a plus. Murcia International Airport is 35 minutes away, and Alicante is 1 hour. For medical care, the Hospital General Universitario Santa Lucia in Cartagena, considered one of the best in the region, is just 20 minutes by car. If you prioritize square footage over pristine water conditions, this wins. You get a 3-bedroom coastal home for less than the price of a base model Ford F-150. So in Los Urrutias, you take a risk on the environment. The next property also asks you to compromise, but on the view itself. 10th, Balanegra. We finally break the pattern. In this property, you get an elevator and a modern building. This property in Balanegra offers you 80 square meters of interior space and a large glazed terrace. The building dates from 2010, which means you get modern insulation and electrical systems that other buildings on this list simply do not have. You secure genuine modern comfort here, but you must accept a compromise regarding the view. The view is the Mar de Plástico, or Sea of Plastic. This area in Almería is famous for its intensive agriculture. Thousands of hectares of greenhouses cover the earth to grow vegetables for the entire continent. This industrial reality dominates the landscape and suppresses property prices. Balanegra is a very Spanish rural town rather than a tourist resort. It's completely off the beaten path for international buyers, and for good reason. The surroundings lack the aesthetic appeal that most expats hunt for. You will not find English breakfast cafes there. You'll find a utilitarian agricultural economy. However, look at the bright side. You get an elevator, modern construction, and 80 square meters for a rock-bottom price. You are 41 minutes from Almería Airport, and if you want more flight options, Málaga is 2 hours away. You have to ask yourself, what matters more? Do you want a postcard view from a crumbling balcony, or do you want a modern, insulated home? Now, there is one thing I have to say very clearly. If you want to really live in Spain, not just survive in an expat bubble, to learn Spanish is non-negotiable. The good news is that Spanish is actually a fun and relatively easy language to learn if you use the right method. My personal secret weapon is a tool called Linkui. It lets you learn from real-life content at your level without boring textbooks. If you're serious about moving there, start learning Spanish today. Open Linkui, pick a short lesson, and make it part of your daily routine. Your future self in Spain will thank you. 9. Benicarló. Maybe you know the famous castle at Peníscola. It appears in movies and travel guides everywhere. But if you just go a few kilometers north to Benicarló, you pay half the price for the same coastline. This is not a resort that shuts down in October. Benicarló is a living town, driven by fishing and agricultural activities. The downside there is that the property forces you to make a choice between seaside life and building age. It dates back to 1977. You see interiors that look stuck in the 70s. You need to budget for a cosmetic refresh if you want a place that looks newer. However, the essentials are good. This unit already has double glazed windows and reversible air conditioning. That is a huge infrastructure expense you do not have to pay. There are some interesting positive sides in the city. In many other Spanish coastal areas, shops board up when the tourists leave. But in Benicarló, the local economy functions 12 months a year. You can buy bread, see a doctor in the Hospital Comarca de Vinarós, just a minute away, and live a normal life in January. You are not buying a ticket to a winter ghost town. You get 2 bedrooms and side views of the port from the Puerto Playa area for under $99,000. You can walk or bike over to Peníscola to see the castle, then come back to a town where a coffee costs a local price. You get easy access to Playa de Borrongo, but you also have everything that a real town has, not just a temporary beach bar. You trade the frontline glamour for a sensible choice that guarantees year-round life. Now for the next name, let's flip the script entirely. We are going to the most famous sandbar in the country. 8th place, La Manga. La Manga is maybe the only name on this list you already know. It defines Spanish summer tourism with its unique 21-kilometer strip, separating the Mediterranean Sea from the Mar Menor Lagoon. But that fame creates a specific price structure. There I found a studio apartment for only 8,000–9,000 euros. You secure a property in the Playa de las Gaviotas area with an elevator, a community pool, and a terrace facing the sunset. But you must accept the reality of the resort tax. The apartment itself is a 41 square meter studio, but in La Manga you are paying for the lifestyle outside your door, not the space or the square meters inside it. You also need to understand the population curve. In June, it's an area that feels manageable. In August, the population explodes, and traffic jams on the single main road are common. Then in winter, the strip empties out. Infrastructure remains decent for travelers. A local health center handles based on the strip itself, but for serious issue, the main hospital in Cartagena requires a 40-minute drive. It's not a mansion. It's in fact one of the smallest apartments in this list, but considering the location and how close it is to a very nice beach, it's actually a good finding. Now let's escape the tourist crowds entirely. 7th place, Sant Carles de la Ràpita. Forget the sea views for a second. Let's talk about our stomach. Sant Carles de la Ràpita functions as the gastronomic capital of its region, and it's for those who value nature and food over loud nightlife. You find this town located right at the edge of the Ebro Delta Nature Reserve. The asking price is 84,900 euros, but here is the biggest downside of this property. The unit is located on the third floor, and the building does not have an elevator. So why would you consider this? First, because despite the building not being very new, it's from 1982, the apartment is in a good state, ready to move in. Sant Carles de la Ràpita is also a city that is a middle term, not as touristy as La Manga, but also not a small town in the middle of nowhere. The other point is the central location on the main avenue, meaning you walk to everything. You get access to multiple beaches like Playa del Capri, Playa de la Cenieta, and Playa del Garpi. In exchange for the daily climb, you gain 78 square meters of space. The Recht has a massive footprint for this price. You get 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, a balcony with sea views, and access to a rooftop terrace. This is one of the 3 Catalonia locations in our list, and Barcelona is 1 hour and 45 minutes by car from Sant Carles de la Ràpita. So here, in exchange for doing some exercise up and downstairs every day, you get a ready-to-move apartment in a beach town in one of the most developed Spanish regions. But if you need a solution that prioritizes comfort over cardio, the next property fixes the elevator problem completely and puts a swimming pool right in your backyard. 6. Cartagena, Murcia. If those last few properties sounded exhausting because of the stairs, this one solves that problem right away. In Playa Honda, located on the mainland edge of the Mar Menor, you find a 4th-floor apartment that includes an elevator. You also gain access to a community pool. The price is quite attractive and the place is in good condition, but the biggest downside is the size. The total floor plan measures just 45 square meters. It's small, but the layout is efficient, and unlike the older units we looked at, this comes as a turnkey package. You do not need to tear down walls, replace windows, or hire a contractor. You just unlock the door and move in. The star feature is this terrace, which gives you panoramic views over the lagoon toward La Manga. This location offers a serious advantage for retirees that the famous La Manga strip lacks: tranquility. It has less car traffic, but still close to the infrastructure you need. This means you enjoy a quieter, more residential environment compared to the traffic jams on the strip. You have practical road access all year, and if you need, the Hospital General Universitario Santa Lucia is just 19 minutes away. So in this case, you get a safe, accessible apartment with panoramic views for under 99,000 euros. It's a low-stress option with no need for renovation or stairs. 5. Eucalyptus. This property is located deep inside the Delta del Ebro Natural Park. You are not just buying an apartment, you are buying into a protected ecosystem where construction is heavily restricted. The interior living space is compact, measuring just 40 square meters, but the rooftop terrace is also 40 square meters. You gain an outdoor living area that is exactly as big as your indoor apartment. The sale even includes a garage, which stands out as a rare value proposition at this price point. You are surrounded by rice paddies, wetlands, and flamingos in one side, and by the Eucalyptus Beach on the other side. Because this is a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, regulations strictly limit development to preserve the biodiversity. No one will build a high rise in front of your view. However, you must accept the trade-off of living some isolation. It's a village, not a town, and you are relatively far from some urban amenities. A car is essential there. You also need to prepare for the biological reality. The wetlands mean mosquitoes can be intense during the summer, so you must plan for that. Still, considering everything this property offers, is a very good deal. You get a modern, ready-to-move-in property in a protected area close to a large, uncrowded beach for the price of a standard sedan car. But if you love nature and quiet places, the next property is probably even more enticing for you. 4th, Calafat. This property gives you 24,000 square meters of land. We are talking about a massive plot located on the hills of Calafat in La Metlia del Mar. You get a traditional finca, a rustic stone house, and you look down at the Mediterranean Sea from your own private kingdom. The price for this massive piece of land is just 84,000 euros. Sounds too cheap, right? So let me tell you about the cons first, and then later the pros. You are completely off-grid. There is no electrical grid connection there, but solar panels and batteries. There is no main water pipe running to your door, but a rainwater harvesting tank. And there is a barbecue area that you can use without worrying about neighbors complaining about the smoke. You also cannot just bulldoze the stone house and build a modern villa. Due to the current permits, you must preserve the building, but you can improve it. This defines all the cons. But now, the positive parts, and there are many. You buy absolute silence and total privacy. You want a private state where no neighbor will ever tap on your wall. If you want to escape the modern world and own a massive quantity of Spanish soil, this is a good deal. A private state for less than $90,000. It demands a specific buyer profile. Someone who values self-sufficiency over the convenience of urban living. But if you prefer bricks rather than dirt, the next deal offered 2 apartments for the price of 1. But before, I have some really good news. My Expat Wealth and Lifestyle Compass, valued at $180, is yours free for a limited time. Receive our 74-page analysis of affordable cities in Spain, Italy, and France, our guide for zero income tax countries that can save you up to $15,600, and the checklist that prevents costly mistakes. Don't let your chances go away. Scan this QR code now and join us for free. Third, Malpica de Bergantiños. The only math that beats cheap is 2 for the price of 1. In Bergantiños, you get 120 square meters of space for 80,000 euros. That converts to about 88,000 US dollars. But the real story is the layout. Here we are talking about 2 separate apartments. You buy 1 property title, but you get 2 independent front doors. However, you need to look at the map before you get too excited. This is not the Mediterranean. We are in the Atlantic Ocean, in a region called the Costa da Morte, or Coast of Death. The winters are cool and rainy. You'll not find the endless sunshine hours that define the south of Spain. This is green Spain, and it stays green because it rains. On the bright side, if you hate heat waves like those normal in Andalusia, this is the place for you. This is Galicia. It's rugged, authentic, and maritime. Malpica de Bergantiños is a town with over 5,000 residents, located 52 kilometers from A Coruña, a larger city which is also the capital of Galicia. In the case of this property, the value comes from the huge potential. It has 2 apartments. One is finished, so you can move in immediately. The other unit is a shell, meaning it needs to be finished. This setup gives you options that other listings simply do not offer. You can live in the finished unit while you fix the second one. Once it's complete, you rent it out for income or you combine them into a massive one. Second place, Puerto de Mazarrón. Many of the properties we saw today are in places like Catalonia or Galicia, where Spanish is widespread, but it's not really the local language. And I always recommend all expats to learn the local language, even if it's a regional language like Catalan. But what if you would prefer to speak only Spanish? Murcia is the ideal place for you. The property itself is a 40 square meter 1-bedroom apartment located in the Playa del Sol area. It's compact. However, you are not paying for massive floor space here, you are paying for the good expat-friendly infrastructure. Mazarrón is a popular place among expat retirees. Pharmacies, cafes, and restaurants are prepared to offer services to English speakers. Puerto de Mazarrón enjoys over 300 days of sunshine a year, giving retirees a reliably warm, dry climate with mild winters. And property prices and rental rates in Puerto de Mazarrón are relatively affordable compared with better-known Costa del Sol and Costa Blanca hotspots. Puerto de Mazarrón is less crowded and more relaxed than major tourist resorts, offering a quieter lifestyle while still having good amenities. Murcia International Airport, Corvera, and Alicante Airport are both within driving distance, providing regular low-cost flights to many European countries. The unit is located on the first floor and includes an elevator, making it a serious contender if mobility is a concern for your future. It's ready to move in, although the kitchen would benefit from a renovation. You also secure a high quality of life. Because the town is completely walkable, you access the promenade, local amenities, and sandy beaches without ever needing a car. So in this case, you get a turnkey home with a terrace and sea views in a lively community for the budget of a Jeep or a Lexus. Now, as good as this sounds, Spain is not a paradise. There are also some odd problems, and I have a whole video on that. But what if you refuse to compromise? What if you want the space, the location, and the modern comfort all in one deal? That brings us to the absolute winner. First place, Los Alcazares. Usually, when you look for a property on the coast, the market forces you to pick 2 out of 3 options. You can have a low price, or you can have a sea view, or you can have decent size. But you almost never get all 3. However, in Los Alcazares, Murcia, we found the unicorn property that breaks this rule. This property costs 80,000 euros. That converts to 88,000 United States dollars. For that price, you do not get a cramped studio. You secure a complete 60 square meter bungalow, fully furnished and already with tourism license. It's a classic townhouse layout, offering more independence than an apartment, and it combines the independence of a house with the convenience of being in the center of Los Narejos. This tourism license is a big plus. It means you can rent for short term this property if you wish. Such licenses are very hard to obtain nowadays. You are located in Los Narejos, a neighborhood with good infrastructure and a very nice beach. In fact, this region of Los Alcazares is one of the most attractive spots for expats in the region. It's walking distance to the popular Las Velas commercial center. The infrastructure surrounding this home makes it a viable permanent residence, not just a holiday box. You are just 10 minutes away from the new Los Arcos Hospital. The Costa Cálida region counts as the budget king of Spain, offering more sunshine hours than almost anywhere else in Europe. This property wins because it requires zero compromise. You do not have to fix a roof, you do not have to climb stairs, and you do not have to live in a shoebox. Now, in this list, 3 regions were absent: Navarra, La Rioja, and the Basque Country, because they are quite specific and have qualities that no other place in Spain has. If you got curious, click on this video to our left and get ready for some surprises. And join my Patreon for all the sources, charts, and maps from our videos, plus a chat so I can answer your questions. Tier 2 include my top 3 books on living and retiring abroad. Scan the QR code today.